Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ball Agenda Reveal Show, also known as Bars. I'm joined on my left-hand side by Mr. Chinedu Asinugo, and on my right-hand side by Mr. Emeka Nwani. Such a pleasure to see you guys today. How are you guys doing, Emeka?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. 6-2 win today, so I'm very happy. Ready to talk about the other games and Champions League.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here and in Manchester as well. So really pumped to talk about football today. Let's get it.
Pleasant. Let's get it. We'll start. We have a packed day ahead of us today, so let's start with the UCL draws. So we saw some interesting matchups. What stood out to you guys most? We can start. Actually, let's go through each and every one of them since there's just 8. Gladbach, Man City. What do you guys think is gonna happen there, Emeka?
I'm expecting it's going to be a good draw. I mean, if it was City of old, it would have been a very good footballing draw. But from what I'm seeing of City these days, they might actually be the ones to play a bit more cagey and to be a bit more pragmatic. While we know Marco Rosa and Gladbach are very, very much gung-ho and free-flowing. So it'll be a good game to watch, but I think City will go through with their experience and obviously better quality plus their manager. But it should be a good watch.
Yeah. I'm just going to echo that in terms of I think the quality of City will take them through, but it's going to be a closer game than it looks on paper, right? Because Gladbach, they play some very exciting football and they're bound to score goals. So it's a knockout tie. You score goals, you're always in it. And so it's going to be a very interesting game, but I think the quality of City will take them through.
Well, I'm just going to run down the list the way they have it on the website. We'll just go a little crazy. So at Atalanta, Real Madrid, what do you think I'm actually going to do?
I think, and I've been a fan of this, I've been saying this for a long time, football heritage, right? And I think Real Madrid will edge it. I think they're starting to find their own, in the league, not so much, but in the Champions League, starting to kind of impose themselves on a lot of teams. And I think Atalanta, they have a huge problem now, actually, in Papu Gomez. He had a little fallout with the manager, and so it looked like he's leaving in January. He gets dropped from the team, I think, in their last game. So they have a lot of problems going on behind the scenes, and I think it's going to distract them a little bit. Real Madrid goes through.
Yeah, for me, so I agree with Chinedu there. If it was last season, I might have tipped Atalanta because they were on fire. They were a bit more consistent. But this year, they're a bit more, up and down. Even in Champions League, they're not impressing me as much. So I would expect Madrid with the experience, and they normally come like clutch in these games. So I can imagine Zidane being able to come up with a game plan to handle Atalanta. And like Chinedu said, with Papu Gomez most likely being sold in January, that's a key part of their creativity. So I would expect Madrid usually go through in these types of games.
Creative responsibility, right? Yeah. What do we think about Lazio?
No, wait, before you go on to the next one, you're not giving your take on these either.
I'll start to give. I just wanted to kind of whet the viewers' appetites with both of you first.
Okay.
Lazio Bayern. I would say I think Bayern are beginning to show a little bit more cracks defensively. So I think Lazio, at least at home, will be able to get at them, having the hottest striker in Europe over the past 3 years. I think they'll pose serious problems to them. They might even edge the one at home, but I think over 2 legs, Bayern will have too much for Lazio. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I think it'll be more comfortable than you're giving it that you think. Basically, I would go for like Bayern, defending champions. They like, even if sometimes they like against Leverkusen yesterday, they didn't look as convincing, and they were able to sneak it at the end. But Lazio as well, they've been in the bigger games, they've not been that great this season as well. Champions League, I mean, they managed to get through second place in the group. They struggled as well. I think it was against Brugge, the last game at home. So I think, I mean, they could give Bayern a scare in the home leg. I mean, have their chances, but I would expect Bayern to actually win this home and away and go through fairly convincingly. I'm not that impressed with last year this year.
Yeah, I agree that. I mean, I think Bayern is just they're finding their feet again. I don't know how you can find your feet after you've just won everything there is to win, but I think they're not quite gelling.
Except the FIFA, the best men's coach.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know why they would do that, and that's another conversation. Really, you won everything there is to win. You've done your job as a manager, and still you don't.
Honestly, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, But I think Bayern quality will just show. Like, it's Lewy versus Immobile, and Lewy is the hardest striker on the planet right now, without a doubt. And so I think Lewy gets a few goals in. Hopefully, Sané comes clean as well because he's not been impressing from what I've seen. But I think they just have the firepower to complete the job. I think it will actually be a very, very comfortable win for Bayern.
Okay, that's fair. And Atletico versus Chelsea. What do we think, Emeka?
This is my favorite. This is my favorite draw of the round.
Yeah.
I've seen, like, it's one of those ones I've seen so many different opinions. Like, I've seen some people say Atletico is the perfect draw for them in terms of being able to stifle Chelsea's creativity and offensive firepower. And I've also seen people feel like, so Chelsea having that firepower against an Atletico that typically is more solid, even though in the Champions League, I mean in La Liga rather, they've been quite more free flowing and free scoring. But for me, it's very 50-50. But I would lean with Chelsea just because of their attacking firepower. I feel like Atletico, they're in a bit of a conundrum at the moment. Like I said, in the league, they're more free scoring. In the Champions League, they don't really score as much, but they concede fewer. So they're almost like a bit of a rock and a hard place where it seems sometimes they're a bit unsure whether to stick or to twist. And I think like Chelsea, just knowing that they have so many goals in them, and it's not like Atletico with Felix, Suarez, and Costa. It's not, and Carrasco. I feel Chelsea will be able to stop that enough for them to be free flowing with their Werners. Not Havertz because I know, like Giroud, Pulisic. They just have so many goals in them, so I think it will be a very close one. Maybe like a draw, maybe it's like a 1-0 Atletico win or something in the second leg. So I think it would be a close one, but I'll just edge it to Chelsea just because I just feel goals, especially in Champions League with the away goal. I feel, and no fans as well. I feel those goals will come in handy.
Chinedu?
Yeah, they might be fans back by then. Who knows? But I actually I'm on the other side of the coin where I think Atleti will go through easy. And let me rephrase.
Easy.
I didn't say. I said let me rephrase that. Not easy. Easy for me. This is the toughest draw to call.
Let's note this down.
Get the pen and the paper and jot things down.
This is without a doubt the toughest draw to call, but I say a bit easy because you talk about Chelsea firepower, right? But let me tell you the thing about Chelsea's firepower is an inexperienced front line, so to speak. And if we go into that game and Timo Werner gets 3 chances and he takes only 1, they're going to have a problem. And I say Timo Werner because he's typically the culprit. My point being, against an Atletico side like what they have now, and I know it's a different proposition because it's not as defensively solid as it's been for a number of years. But if they go into that game and they don't take their chances, they will be punished for it. And typically Chelsea create a lot of chances, they don't take as many as they should. So it's one of those things where their inexperience will show through, and Atleti's experience, on the other hand, will shine through. Where it's they have their chances. Suarez will probably start that game, scores 2 shots, maybe takes just.
Do you trust them in the big game?
Do I trust who?
Atleti.
I do, and I think it's more of a thing of my trust in their manager than the individual players. I don't know who's going to go into that game playing, but I know that the system and his style of play will always set up to win those kind of games. And so I trust Simeone to set up a very, very solid team, but also one that will get chances and they will take their chances. So I predict like a 2-0, and then the other side, Chelsea comes back and maybe it's 2-1 the next game. But I think Atleti is going through.
Before you go, finish, bro. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, to summarize, I think Chelsea's inexperience will cost them that game.
Yeah, no, I think. Sorry. Before you go, just a quick one. Like I understand anybody that says Atletico. I mean, it's where again it's like that whole naivety in terms of a very free scoring team. That I mean, getting more sure defensively in Chelsea, but Atletico they normally seem to know what they want to do. They're structured, and you expect them to nick it. But like for me, I just feel sometimes when you set up that way, especially in Champions League and the formats and the away goals, I just feel that the team that more often has the better goal scoring potential, more often than not, for me, like I'll lean on that side just because of the away goals, especially. But it's very 50-50. So I understand that way.
And that's why I lean the same way. I would say if Athletic concede in the first leg, it'll be very difficult for them to go through. And you never want that to be the situation where you're holding out on a clean sheet for your hopes of going through. And I think that's why it's honestly 50-50, but probably leaning Chelsea. But we'll see what form looks like. By February.
You're right.
And they haven't been good at all in Champions League this season, so not surprised. Sevilla, Dortmund. As a joke, I know Sevilla don't know really what to do when they get to this stage of the Champions League. So
well, I totally agree, and I think in the coach of Unai Emery's, I want to say pedigree, Sevilla might do something good, especially. I think this is one that will be up to form around the time of the game. It's who is gunning and who isn't. And so if Haaland is still up, then Dortmund might struggle to find goals, but I think Dortmund might edge it.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's a great take. It's one of those ones where it's closer to time, it will have a better, more clear picture. But I'll go with Dortmund. I think if Haaland is back, especially after watching Sevilla in the group stages, they play a lot of good stuff. They're very technical, short passes, but they lack that clinical edge, and they don't have anybody as close or clinical as Erling Haaland. So I feel if he's back, and how Chelsea swatted them aside with their second string team in Seville, when the match to settle the top spot. So I feel with if Dortmund have Erling Haaland back, I feel they would go through. I think they will go through, maybe not comfortably, but it'll be fairly convincing.
Barca PSG, Emeka.
Yeah, we're just discussing that off air. So I would go PSG. I've been watching. I mean, Barcelona, again, they have the heritage, and sometimes I feel PSG, they definitely do have that imposter syndrome sometimes in Champions League, where sometimes I do feel they are a bit beaten before the game starts, where they see these big names because they couldn't break that hurdle for so long till last season. So now they've broken the hurdle. I feel this Barcelona team is just I don't want to say awful because that would be hyperbole, but it's lacking quality, seriously. Like we said, starting like Pedri, Trincao, these guys, Griezmann not able to find his feet. Coutinho, they're playing like Araujo at the back now. Piqué is out for a long time. It's just awful, man. And I think if Neymar is back, hopefully he is. If Neymar is back, I think PSG will have too much of Barcelona, but it's going to be close. Yeah. But I think PSG will have a bit too much for Barcelona.
And also, just in the last part, Chinedu meant to reference Julian Lopetegui instead of Unai Emery. Just a quick brain fart. But we do know ball on this show, so I'll pass it back to Chinedu.
No, yeah. I was going to agree with Emeka. I think it comes down to Neymar plus Mbappe versus Messi. That's how I look at it, and I think Neymar plus Mbappe would sadly trump Leo Messi. Because I look and I say, Barcelona, they don't have anything gunning for them now except when Messi carries the team. So I think if Neymar and Mbappe are back, I think Di Maria would be back by then, and so PSG look a very scary side.
Yeah. Porto Juve, Emeka.
Juve.
We don't need to do too much there.
Juve. Yeah.
Actually, this is the most exciting draw for me. Leipzig, Liverpool, the next one. Not
okay. I was like, okay. I was ready to hear some kind of analysis. I was like, okay.
I think Porto can frustrate because they did against City, but it also could be down to City not looking as free flowing this season. So, and also Juve have not been that good. They struggled at home to win late against Ferencváros, and the Barca game that they won was. Honestly, it didn't make sense how they won that match, and also they got two basically free penalties. And when they played Barca in Turin, they looked horrible. So Juve is also one of those sides that we've said they're still trying to figure out what they're doing on that Pelo. So based on pedigree of the players and the heritage that we've talked about, they probably have too much for them. But Porto could definitely frustrate. But that's not my most interesting.
Yeah, really quick on that. I think it's interesting because a lot of times, obviously, we focus on Premier League and Premier League managers. But for me, I look at Juve as like United in terms of they struggle to, and United, being a United fan, now I see a system in place, or more of a system in place. But Juve, I've not seen a system in place, but because of the quality of the player, they tend to edge games, right? So there's no system, but Ronaldo comes, scores a nice 2 goals, they win the game. Or crosses go in, Morata heads the ball into the back of the net. But in terms of actually playing system, I struggle to see one when I look at
I
UV.
think he's still finding his feet. I mean, again,
Yeah.
it's still a bit early because I know he's been constantly changing systems now, but it seems to have stuck on his 4-4-2 at the moment with Morata, Ronaldo,
Yeah,
up front here with Kulusevski, and
and Rams is getting numbers, you know. Rams getting time now.
Yeah, so I think he's just still like finding his feet. They still haven't lost a game in Syria, so I mean, let's give them time.
And last, my actual favorite tie of the draw, and I think I know what a lot of people are going to say, but I don't think not here, but what people generally are thinking, and I probably differ a little bit. Leipzig versus Liverpool. What do you think, Chinedu?
I think I'm going to go with what you think people would say. Liverpool wins. And I think it will not be as close as it looks. So Leipzig, they went up against their last win in the Champions League was up against a very naive United side that lacked, I think, defensive solidity that they needed against Leipzig. But I think if they set up with the same system where they have three at the back, I think they're going to struggle against a very, very good Liverpool side. And Liverpool have started scoring goals again. So I think definitely I would go Liverpool.
Yeah, I would. It's going to be an interesting game. Nagelsmann arguably is probably like the young club, right? You can make that comparison, and they both play high intensity, high pressing, offensive football. So I think it'll be a great watch. It probably might be the best watch out of all the ties, I'd say. But I would definitely tip Liverpool. I think similar to Leipzig with United, I feel they will play into Liverpool's hands. Because they're going to be adventurous. The Liverpool hit to play against, like we said, maybe like an Atleti, something like Liverpool wouldn't like to play against someone like that. But I think Leipzig, they will give Liverpool a scare, but ultimately Liverpool's firepower, I think, will be too much. Will be too much for them. Especially if you're playing three at the back against that Liverpool front three as well, and they are both narrow. I think it could cause serious problems for them because Leipzig are with Kanate and Upamecano, they're very strong and quick physically, but they still lack that game intelligence, and I feel likes of Salah and Mane can capitalize. But it will be a great watch, you know.
Awesome. Quick one on UEL draws. We'll go on the ones that stand
before
out.
We get there, you didn't give your take on it.
My take on
Liverpool. Yeah.
I mean, I think it'll be a lot tighter. I think Liverpool at that point, I expect them to be sort of gassing, and I was trying to not give my take, but I expect them to be sort of gassing out at that stage of the season.
Why?
Because they're playing the same players over and over again, and
let's not dwell on that.
For some reason, it's still working. Like they're beating Crystal Palace, but I feel like this Christmas period, they might get a couple more injuries, but they're outperforming their expected goals and how much they should be scoring, how many matches they should be winning, how many points they should be grabbing, and it's just over a course of time that's not sustainable. So I think by February they'll be much more down to earth, and I think it'll be a much more balanced match than it's looking today. If they play that match today, I'll tip Liverpool to win. But I think by February, I think it will end up being a lot closer than people think. Liverpool will probably still go through since the second leg is at Anfield, and they always make miracles happen there, but it'll be a lot closer than most people think. That's my quick take. UEFA Europa League draws. Tottenham versus Wolfsberger. Quick answers.
Comfortable Spurs.
Okay. Milan versus Crvena Zvezda.
That's Red Star. Red Star Belgrade. Yeah, comfortable Milan.
Chinedu, what are you thinking?
I think comfortable Milan as well, and I think Spurs. I think Emeka is just being naughty.
Let's leave this conversation.
David Silva
Milan,
coming back to Manchester. Real Sociedad, Man United.
I prefer not to comment because I feel like my comments will be taken out of. This segment will be screenshot and sent to somebody later on, so I prefer not to speak.
What do you think?
That's lucky. That's like a Champions League draw.
Yes, at least this season, based on form this season.
Yeah, because Sociedad are playing some amazing ball at the moment. I think they joined top in La Liga. I don't know if all their result was this weekend.
Because they lost, the goal difference dropped. So I think now they're second.
Okay, they lost, right? So second now. I think it'd be a good one. I wouldn't be surprised because at that time, depending on United's ambition, depending on how they go these next few months, I wouldn't be surprised if Sociedad won that game because
So I think you'd be going for the league.
Because no, that's what I said. Depending on even if it's like, because they're not going to play their first team I don't think they're going to play their first team in Europa because there's so much competition in Prem. So I think Sociedad are going to win that game more. Like Spanish teams generally are more gingered for that competition. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sociedad go through, depending on how seriously Ole takes it though.
Should do?
Like I said, I wasn't joking when I said that. I will not speak on this.
Or are you scared of?
I'm not scared of anything, King. I just know, like it's a game where anything can happen and anything will happen, and so I will not be surprised either way. United lose.
Generally, United don't do well against Spanish teams as well.
Yeah,
but that's all just that's.
But it's true though. Like for whatever reason, like style of play, like we struggle against teams that are good passing the ball and they've got many technical players. It's about obviously Silva, even Januzaj. Like so,
that's what I'm excited about.
I feel
back to hunt us.
I just feel because it's Europa League. I'm sure we're going to rotate players because it's going to be on a Thursday before a big game in February. So I anticipate that because Sociedad are going to take it much more seriously. Plus, obviously they're a very good team as well. I think they will just edge it.
That's a good point. Depends on how we're doing in league at that point and how valuable winning
it is exactly. Exactly. If we're eighth and we need Champions League through Europa, then we'll take it seriously. So it depends.
Another potential Champions League draw: Benfica versus Arsenal.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Based on if they played it today or tomorrow, Benfica goes through. but I'm hoping for Arsenal's sake that by then they picked up on their confidence. They are not in a relegation battle anymore, and they can actually go into Europa looking good. And they have looked good in Europa. I think they're the only team not to have lost in Europe this season.
I think they won every game, right? They won every game.
Yeah, they won every game actually, which is sick, I mean, but I think they go into that game.
Poor opposition.
Yeah, I think they go into that game, depending on the form in the league, hopefully confident.
Okay, fair. And last but not least, another potential Champions League draw: RB Salzburg versus Unai Emery's Villarreal, high flying in La Liga.
I would, just because watching them, I watch them closely in Champions League. I'll go Salzburg. Although they've lost Zobline now, I don't know. So that might be a huge hit.
The RB connection.
Yeah, RB connect. You get all of them, man. So yeah, but like from what I saw from them in the Champions League, I'll just give them the edge. But Villarreal, like you said, they've been playing very well this season. Under Unai Emery, who would have thought?
There's two reasons why I think Villarreal beat them. One, losing Szoboszlai. If you watched them at all throughout the Champions League, everything goes through him. Losing him, they're going to be completely different. I don't know what Jesse Marsch is going to have set up, but yeah, they're going to lose him, and they're facing Mr. Europa League. So for that reason, I don't think they can get to that draw. I don't think Emery is dropping out in the round of 32. Awesome. Let's actually say
like the Champions
League is Salzburg.
Before we move on, I think one game that might be a bit less touched on is Ajax Lille. I'm sorry to take your money. I'm looking and knowing the players in both teams, the youth and the quality in the youth.
And they both get huge.
That's a great game to watch.
I think that would be a good one.
I'll back Ajax just because I think
Yeah, Lille is not Lille of old. Yeah.
Coming down from the Champions League. No, but Lille, they have a good crop of players, bro. They really do.
Once they disbanded the crazy core that had the Icones, the Pepes, the Bambas, I think Lille. That I used to be excited when I heard Lille, watched Lille, but I don't think they have that same.
No, but I'm pretty
sure
they
don't carry the same threat anymore. No, I'm saying like once that whole core, they broke that up, because that season they were just incredible.
But they have. Let me tell you one thing about Lille, and one thing I've noticed is their recruitment is fantastic. They brought in this. I don't know if you guys know him, Jonathan David, Canadian guy.
Yeah,
fantastic player. Also brought in Osimhen as well, and Osimhen has been. I'm so stupid for saying Osimhen.
Jonathan David is an FM.
I'm having brain fart. Coutinho goes to Napoli. Anyhow, they brought in Jonathan Davis and they brought in a right winger, and I have to do that. But essentially, they always do their recruitment where they are taking out players, their core players, but then they're also replacing them with new players. And so I think they're still going to.
I was just going to say, like, tip for any FM addicts out there, Jonathan David, look out for him. That is crazy on Football Manager.
FM plug. Maybe we'll have an FM segment.
So we're giving tips. Yeah, we should just give tips and tricks. Actually, I think we should do a very quick recap of the best FIFA football awards. So men's player, we saw Robert Lewandowski win.
No
Thoughts
brainer.
on that?
Easy. I wish he was Ballon d'Or. Easy, comfortable.
Yeah.
Best women's player, Lucy Bronze.
Can't speak on that. I can't figure that because I don't watch women's football yet.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yes.
You have what?
Except Man United women. Man United women, I follow them. That's the only. And I know the Arsenal. There's that Arsenal. What's that?
Vivian Miedema.
Exactly. Yeah, she's the
Big
one.
up to Lucy Bronze.
I think she should have won. She was top scorer in Champions League and Women's Super League.
And I know Lyon win every year.
But she wasn't even in finalists. Also, Pernille Harder, after her big move to Chelsea, I thought she was also really amazing last season. Top scorer in Bundesliga for Wolfsburg and in that move. But
Lyon win the Champions League every year, right?
Yeah.
Like female Champions League every year, from what I remember.
Oh, not Champions League.
And I mean, their own version now. It's not the same competition.
They should merge. I want to see some competition from Bayern. They should merge. The best FIFA men's coach, Jurgen.
No, I'm not forget bias or anything. Like I'm still trying to understand their logic. Is it? I don't understand the logic. There's literally no logic to it.
No, I think it's one of those things, and a lot of people have said that is that sports fans tend to be hung up on a story, right? So club wins the league after.
Who voted? Sorry, just for context. Is it fans or players?
I think it was players and coaches.
And coaches, right? So coaches voted Jurgen.
I actually don't know who votes for that award.
Because it honestly doesn't make sense.
There was a tabulation of.
It doesn't even matter who voted. That's just wrong.
Yeah, even if it's a story, like
even if it's Klopp that voted,
Flick was from nowhere to winning the treble.
No, story being that he's brought home a Premier League that they haven't won in 30.
But what a Flick story, like from nowhere to winning a treble.
100%. I don't.
There's literally no 1 ounce of logic to it.
In no perfect world should Flick not be winning that, but I'm trying to justify why in our world he didn't win it. So I
just trying to understand the logic. Okay, because
I think everyone that watches football and recognizes what Bayern did, even though it's the club with the pedigree of Bayern, what they did last season was immense.
You win the treble. Do you know what winning the treble is?
They won 5 competitions. They won all 5 consistent.
All 5. Liverpool got knocked out in the round of 16 Champions League. Bombed out FA Cup.
That's true. There were very, very disappointing results for Klopp last season in pursuit of this first trophy in 30 years.
Yeah. So that's what I can only explain that people are hung up on that story, but
people just love Klopp too much. I will get into that. People eat out of Klopp's hands. Like anything he gives them, they eat.
There's a thing for Liverpool. And again, it's not biased because I know when United are very good, it applies to United as well. Like there's like the media. There's like a thing for United, Liverpool, especially when they are really doing well. And Liverpool especially, like media, there's a media loving, and rightly so in the last 3 years. But there's a media loving for Liverpool and Klopp especially because there's not 1 ounce of logic in terms of why Klopp gets it.
Klopp gets a statue. He lives today, he gets a statue tomorrow.
I think the managers that have done some crazy. If Houllier also rest in peace to legend Gerard Houllier. But Houllier also probably would deserve a statue as well for what he did at Liverpool. So Klopp hasn't really won that much at Liverpool.
I tell
it's
you,
one of the 2 biggest things.
He gets the trophy.
Houllier definitely because they went before
they won the treble.
Yeah, he won the fake treble, but still treble. But yeah, he. But he definitely he won the treble. And before, between when they won the league in the last league in 1990. Then United dominated the 90s. Like Liverpool were not doing much at all. Then Houllier came in, got them FA Cups, Carling Cups, like I said, UEFA Cup as well. So yeah, definitely Houllier is he's like the first Liverpool manager I remember growing up. So yeah, he's definitely a legend.
And what do we think about Son Messi, FIFA Puskas Award?
I don't think he deserves it, to be honest with you. But that's me talking another day.
Agenda reveal. That was an incredible goal. And I'm so happy for Son finally getting some plaudits for just being so amazing over the past 3 years.
In the world.
I stand on that, Son Messi, right now.
I can't argue with that goal. I'm not picky.
Okay, fair. We would have gone into the fifth pro men's and women's, but it's too long.
Best keeper.
Best keeper, yeah. Why is there a best keeper award?
It's weird because the best keeper is different from the actual XI. That was weird. So in the XI, Alisson was.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, how does that even make any sense?
And then Neuer was actually the best keeper. So
they just wanted to fit Liverpool players in the XI. Yeah. That's just back to what we're saying about clubs. So let's just even move on from this before I get riled up. So let's move.
Remember, no agenda. I'm revealing it.
Let's move to the midweek fixtures from the Premier League. So we saw there were some really interesting fixtures in the middle of the week. Wolves beating Chelsea. What do we take from that, Chinedu?
I think, where do we go with this?
Somewhere quickly.
I think people expected Wolves to struggle because obviously they're lacking Raul Jimenez, who is their main gunman. But I watched that game and Podence and Neto are fantastic players. I don't envision them being there for much longer. They are fantastic players who I think deserve a move similar to Jota's and should be playing at the highest level. But yeah, I think that's the Chelsea side that, like I was saying earlier, inexperience will always shine through. And in a game where maybe they should have settled for that 1 point, they were pushing forward to go get more, and they got punished in the last minute. So,
I mean, that's the exact thing that Jose Mourinho wouldn't do, and people will say, "Oh, you're spineless, it's Harambo." But that's exactly why. That's why you do it.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes I look at Chelsea and I see. Remember, I had backed them to win the league. Inexperience is a huge thing, and that's why sometimes you look and you say the likes of Thiago Silva and Aspi maybe sometimes should be played a lot more, where he brings that sense into them. You don't make that kind of mistake and cost yourself. In a game that you don't yet to be nice to go top of the table. I think that was what was at stake for them, was to go top of the table for that day.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's just you need your points where you can get them in this December fixtures.
The reason why I'm not even reading too much into December fixtures is just the way December is, the way the math works out. Everyone drops points, so I don't think you should drop off of what you've said for Chelsea. Does drop points. Yeah. So I don't think there's too much to read into Chelsea's title challenge based off of December. December period is historically known for people dropping points. So that's why I would say, I still don't think...
The league winners normally grind it through.
Pick up,
They'll pick up points, but they'll drop points. Not
naively like that. I think
that's exactly the point. I don't think it's the fact that they drop points. I think it's the way they drop points that I'm talking about. It's clear they didn't need to drop those points.
Yeah, right? It's clear naivety from the players and the manager. I would say terrible game management, because, like you said about Wolves and Podence and what's the other
Neto.
And Neto, quality tricky players. And Podence, I was just joking around, with that number 10 shirts, it looks like a budget hazard. I'm not even going to say.
Oh yes, He
moved like hazard. Yeah, but this Wolves team, for me, they're not as good as last season in terms of not even just about Jimenez. I feel Chelsea could have a serious team would have won that game. Yeah. It was just a bit of naivety. After Giroud scored that goal, Chelsea should have taken control. And even when it was 1-1 and fair enough, take your point and go home. The game was still super stretched. It's they should have relaxed. Again, either the manager or Thiago Silva or one of the midfielders, Kante, Kovacic, whoever it was, they should have handled that game better, because I don't think Wolves didn't necessarily deserve to win that game. I don't think, but I think Chelsea's experience definitely goes them there.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think, just as a quick point on that, because we're spending so long on the Wolves fixture, when you said Wolves, you thought Wolves would struggle, I would have argued that I actually do think that they struggled. Watching the game, they didn't really give much to Chelsea squad. I started sitting back for some reason and letting them into the game. And when called upon twice, someone considered twice. That's all I'll say. Back to Manchester City versus West Bromwich Albion. 1-1. City dropping points yet again. Slaven Bilic pulling out an incredible result for his team, and you thought that was the opportunity for them to push on. And the next morning, were greeted with tragic news that Slaven Bilic had been relieved of his post, and I thought that was just ridiculous. One from West Brom because he was really eking out the last drops of quality from that side, and he did. He has a fantastically deep and experienced championship level side, but for the Premier League, that side doesn't work. And if you look at the profile of players that they have, people like Pereira, people like Diangana, that they brought in, that Diangana was practically the big money transfer. Those are not Big Sam players. So Big Sam is going to completely change the way the look and feel of the team, and probably players that he spent money on are not going to play because they don't play Big Sam football. That remains to be seen. But
I just guys they're going to be playing some Harambo and Diangana and
if they play
at all. I mean,
Diangana, what do you do? What's your skill set? Oh, I'm a dribbler.
If you don't play
I beat
Pereira,
players. And,
there's nothing you can get. There's no positive out of not playing Pereira in your best player.
Big Sam optimizes set pieces, optimizes defensive solidity, and those players don't add to that.
Yeah. Well, Man City though, this is the worst we've seen like since I'll say Pellegrini's last season before he left. I like City not beating West Brom at home. I mean, they had an incredible amount of chances though. And Sam Johnson, it was one of the
best goalkeeping performance I've seen in like 2 years.
Performances I've seen in a long time. And shout out to Carrington as well, by the way. But United boy. But it was incredible. Like Sterling's header at the end, Gundogan. It was the
exact same header twice.
It was an incredible performance by him. City in the mud though.
Yeah,
I say in the mud, but they're just 6 to 8 points.
I mean, it's not winning the league. They're not winning. They're not going to win the league.
I think there's two things. I think number one, it's being victims of the high standards they've set across the years, and so now people are seeing this and saying, "Oh, City in the mud." But to be honest, they're not really in the mud. And then number two,
title race wise.
No, they are not in the mud. No, not at all. Not
best defensive record. Aguero out. If Aguero comes in and starts firing,
and I was going to, The next thing I was going to say was, I think sometimes a lot of people tend to get hung up on, these guys did score because they were supposed to win, blah blah. But like you just said, Brian's West Brom was amazing that game. They are solid. Their shape. They actually, I think in that game they played 6 at the back for the most part of the game. But their shape was fantastic, and they looked like they wanted to stay in. Sustainable is not, because you're not going to have that kind of high concentration for every single game of the Premier League season when you're playing the same people over and over again. But I think that was kind of Slavan's way of saying, I want this job. I think I can try and get the best out of my players. So I wouldn't get hung up on City's performance so much as West Brom's resilience. But another side of that was Sterling and his finishing. And I don't want to dwell too much on it, but I've said this multiple times. Sterling is not a natural finisher, and he might bag you a lot of goals, but when it actually comes down to it, I don't want Sterling trying to, get me a winner in 90th minute.
So I think it's also important to note Slaven's record at the Etihad. It's pretty good, because I remember when he took West Ham there and beat City. So maybe there's something about Slaven and the Etihad. I just think it's mean how owners can wait for you to. They told him the next morning. So man is setting up his team, gingering them up to go give a great performance. We can stay up. Let's do this. And because they knew that if they told him beforehand, or if they sacked him beforehand, they would have probably lost that match handsomely. So they waited for that. They had Big Sam in the talk, and I just think that, that's football for you, the business of football, but that's just horrible to see as just from a personal human point of view.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Arsenal 1-1 Southampton. That was a huge result for Arsenal in their bid to stay up. No one expected Arsenal to get, honestly, a point from Southampton, who are high flying. And because when you looked at Arsenal's fixtures, they had Burnley, then Southampton, then Everton, then Chelsea, then Brighton, the last 5 Premier League fixtures of the season. And those 15 points, you thought, okay, maybe at home, they probably beat Burnley. Southampton are flying high, so maybe they get points. but
Yeah, I picked one.
probably might
I
lose.
picked a
Chelsea
1-1.
lose, exactly. Chelsea lose, Everton lose, Brighton at home. Maybe Brighton now are really trying their best to go down, but Brighton of maybe a couple weeks ago, you'd have said probably they'll beat Arsenal. So you looked at those 5 fixtures and you were wondering where Arsenal were going to get 3 points from, and you still are. But this was one game where they could have gotten 3 points, if not for the red card. They really second half turned it on. First half was kind of a stroll, and I really thought Saints could have killed the game. But I was also disappointed by Southampton, just looking at how poor Arsenal were, even still walking in the first half. And I was wondering how Saints were so high in the table if they couldn't take advantage of this vulnerable and also poor Arsenal side on the night. But what did you guys think? What did you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that in that I would agree with that in that, it was a shocking point to pick up for Arsenal. It was more surprising that they picked up a point than that they dropped 2. But I would also say that it was a good enough defensive performance. I think the players of Arsenal were kind of trying to show that maybe they are willing to back Arteta as the manager, and so they put in a good shift. I mean, the red card just threw everything off. Obviously, they were in the game at that point in time, and Arteta had to make a change or two. But I think it's telling that Arsenal goes into a game against Tottenham and Arsenal are not the favourites. It's telling on their season, and something has to change at Arsenal is all I'm going to say. Something has to change, and soon, or they will actually go down.
Leeds 5-2. I didn't actually ask him. Okay.
Yeah, no,
you feel like you have something on your chest.
It's a short one. Just
the banter should not be every match day. At least give us some 3 points here and there.
I'll say it's clear the boys are definitely fighting for Arteta. But what really stood out to me was just like Cheney said about Southampton being favorites, but it was just more than like in the game, the fact that like Southampton were the ones even before the red card, the Southamptons were the one playing and taking charge. Almost like when we speak about like how let's say like a Liverpool goes to Palace and it's like, okay, we're the bigger team, we're going to control the game, we have things we're fighting for. So to see Southampton like play with that intensity over Arsenal, so I think it's even more like forget tactics, forget Arteta. It's just the mindset. Like I was just so surprised to see Southampton go to the Emirates and take the game over. Right, and even in the second half, I mean, I know the start of the second half, Arsenal kind of put up a flurry of half chances. But even after the red card, the way Southampton like completely like swamped Arsenal, it's not normal in terms of like that Southampton and Arsenal. It shouldn't be like that. Even with a red card, like let's say United or City or Liverpool, you get a red card against Southampton. Like you don't completely like be like, they Arsenal completely shut it off. Like, what, we're just going to all stay back, forget even counter-attacking, whatever. They just completely shut it off. They had no hope. I guess there's no belief at the moment. But I don't think even as a big team with a man down, you shouldn't let Southampton completely dominate. You should also give them something to worry about. Like if you have like balls into the channel, you have, like I said, they have quick players like Aubameyang, Pepe, and they should have been able to like at least do something or scare them somewhat. So also because the reason why Southampton are pressing everyone forward and completely dominating the game is because they know there's nothing to worry about behind. And Aubameyang, I don't know, again, captain's performance, and he was tweeting some nonsense after the game. It's really disappointing, and I dislike Arsenal. I'm very open about that, but like objectively, like I definitely expect better, and I don't feel this.
That was why I was disappointed, because Saints had such control of the game and they couldn't kill it off. They should have killed the game off.
Quality, yeah. End of the day, you still have people like Nathan Rendon on the field, who I don't think is like highest quality player you could have.
Wait, who?
And so
Redmond.
No, I said quality.
Oh, Redmond. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said. Oh yeah, Saints didn't kill it off because quality, and Ings is not back to, but like now he's out again. So
Arsenal
clearly,
like better team than Southampton. Like I think
that's exactly my point. Is that quality on certain side did not kill off the game. If they were a side with higher quality players, I think they kill off the game. And I think that's not a debate. But for Arsenal, they have more quality players who are less confident and obviously a bit more clueless, and that's why they were able to hang on the quality of them.
I think self-belief is big. I think
the main fixture of the week, of midweek, we should talk about, and this actually brings me into my worst take of the week from social media and from just watching people. When Jose Mourinho said the best team lost, so I'm talking Spurs, Liverpool, I saw all kinds of people who didn't watch the match saying, "Oh, what's he talking about? What match did he watch? This is a win for football." And even when you looked at the XG numbers, and what does this tell you? If a team has twice as many shots as you and lower XG, when XG is kind of a summation of those chances, it just tells you they're taking lots of poor quality shots, which is what Liverpool were doing. They had an assortment of half chances. Lloris made, someone said, how could that be the case when Lloris made 9 saves? If you watch the match, you know that there were 9 routine saves that if he didn't save any of them, we'll say, oh, Lloris, what's going on with you? And the deflected goal was like, we don't blame him because it looped so high, but that was also another half chance that just randomly became a goal. And in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of people, the goal that won in the game was a foul. So the goals that they actually did score could have easily not been goals, and Tottenham had 3 clear chances besides their actual goal and could have killed the game off, could have been 3-1 up, and we would be here talking a different story. So when people say how Mourinho's setup didn't work, I disagree. I think it worked to a T, and they had the chances, and if they were more clinical on the night, they would have beaten Liverpool, and that was the blueprint for how to play against Liverpool. The possession game, that Liverpool looked clueless in the second half. They were just passing the ball around, and you know when you watch Liverpool when they're chasing a goal, like against Fulham, there's this feeling you have that, like, oh, these guys are going to score somehow. Like against Spurs, you're just like, okay, this game is going to pitch out and be 1-1. Like it just looked like the game was just dead, and that was down to Tottenham. Ore, Mane, that was a battle, and I enjoyed watching that.
And he bossed Mane. I felt he bossed Mane.
I enjoyed watching, and it's crazy how Ore can do that and do what he did today. Like it's just that's what you get from Ore.
You know, so a game like this, it's just clash of styles, football purists versus pragmatists and whatnot. And I mean, I get the point where they say, I mean, the whole football one, I hate nonsense like that. That is just sanctimonious nonsense. I don't like people who think about football that way. But the only thing I kind of understand is just when they say, okay, let's say it's a lucky winner at the end. Normally, you think that, okay, the person that was the more proactive. So obviously, Liverpool are generally more proactive. So it's like, okay, they really went for it and they took risks and they opened themselves up to the counter attack. So you're taking risks. So it's like, okay, fair enough. The team that sat back and waited for mistakes and opportunities. Again, it's clash of styles, but I guess so people prefer someone to take risks, and even if you leave yourselves open or not, at least you took your risk and you won. So fair enough. But I wouldn't say, I don't agree that the best team lost. I don't think Spurs were better per se, but they had better chances. And they, like I said, Mourinho set up perfectly. And that's exactly how you set up against Liverpool if you can. And the second half, that was one of the, I don't think I've seen anyone stifle Liverpool as much as they did. Like they were actually like, this is one of the best Premier League teams of all time. And Liverpool were actually, one of.
I don't think that's arguable. I think that's arguable. One of that is a fact.
And I think with that, I think Mourinho set up perfectly. And said Bergwijn, 2 chances, Harry Kane, the header. So definitely it could have gone either way. And I think credit
could have gone either way. Liverpool did not have a chance.
No, it could have. But it could have, because again, it did go the other way, right? So like things happen in football. Like football is not XG and maths and stuff like them. Deflections happen, whatever. If you're more proactive, more often than not, you might get that lucky, deflection or shot off the shin or whatever. Well, I think credit to Mourinho. Obviously, it wasn't a masterclass because he lost, but I would say I wouldn't. Anyone that's saying football won or whatnot, that's like I said, that's sanctimonious nonsense to me.
And in addition to the foul on Dyer for the final goal, I just say some other things that just this whole Liverpool. I just hate how they never complain when things go their way, because you see the foul. Robertson stop.
Unsubscribe.
Robertson cynically stopping the counter attack with Lucas Moura, getting away with that. But when Højbjerg does the same cynical stopping, gets the yellow card. It should have been a yellow card, but things like that. The foul on Dyer not being called. But if that was the other way around and Spurs score a late winner and there's a foul on Henderson, we'll hear that from Henderson, we'll hear that from Klopp, we'll hear that from Milner, we'll hear that from Liverpool fans. So I just think I'm sick and tired of the VAR conversations if they won't speak when things go their way.
I'll go the other way in saying, and I agree with most of what you said, but I don't think that the nudge on Dyer was a foul. I watched multiple replays of it, and personally, I don't think it was a foul. I think it was a soft way to go down. It's typically given as a foul, but I wouldn't say it's a foul. And for the sake of like time and moving on, obviously, I just want. I think the whole Liverpool thing sometimes is with their whining is a bit like overplayed in terms of we always obviously just pick on, okay, Liverpool is not complaining now, this didn't go their way, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, I think VAR has made some very inconsistent calls across the board, and that should be looked at in terms of how that can be fixed in terms of consistency of VAR. So all fans are going to be passionate about,
Yeah, Lo Celso makes his first foul on Robertson, gets his yellow card. Robertson stops blatantly counter-attattack and ref lets it slide. Things like that.
Yeah.
Just
I think the only VAR points on Liverpool is just that like their players like generally come out and complain about VAR. Like I don't see many other players do that. So like you complain about actually complain that the game is gone, game is being ruined. But like you do get your decisions, especially last we got a lot of decisions. So it's like just keep quiet. Like we know it's inconsistent. So like don't complain too much about things that go against you. Because again, like you've had a lot of things in your favor, and
it's just the exact same way for Arsenal and Everton. Ceballos should have been sent off, but they know that like if VAR took a look back at that, Ceballos should have been sent off, and they kept quiet. Like let's not complain too much when we've gotten red cards, and now that they've let us off the hook, like it goes both ways. And the last thing I'll say on that is, ESPN FC, please, if you're someone looking to watch football content, come to the Ball Agenda Review show instead. Don't watch ESPN FC unless you're looking for comedy. Stevie Nicol, Don Hutchinson, those are comedians. Craig Burley also more often than not, but this time he was making sense. Some of the things they were saying, Stevie Nicol and Don Hutchinson, about that game, you would really be annoyed that certain people just have a platform when they clearly just don't know what they're talking about. So quick run through the rest of the stuff. Everton with a good win away to Leicester. Leeds winning 5-2 at Newcastle, finally putting all their XG into actual G. West Ham
in the last minutes.
West Ham 1-1 Crystal Palace. Amazing, incredible goal from Seb Haller. Shout out to him. I know I made some mention of him last week. Aston Villa, Burnley 0-0. Sean Dyche. Why I think, and I've said Burnley can't go down because they just once they click and start getting those clean sheets, they can frustrate anyone. And then Man United away to Sheffield United, even though everyone was afraid that they would drop points, they got the business done.
They were this close to
everyone being United fans, they would drop points.
Close to dropping points, but GG.
So what do we think? Let's quickly run through this week's fixtures. So on Arsenal losing 2-1 to Everton, I'll just say there are three things that I'll point out for Mikel Arteta. One of them is he's picked up some of the horrible traits from Pep. He's picked up some of the horrible traits from Pep, punishing players for no reason, i.e. Mahrez missing the chance against United, having been amazing, their most prolific chance creator, scoring a hat-trick the game before, and all of a sudden just being on the bench consistently. Like you're chasing the game against West Brom, you don't bring him on. In the next match, I think he plays against Southampton, you don't play him. I think it's the same with Lacazette. He misses the chance against Liverpool, and ever since then, Arteta is just randomly benching him, playing in Nketiah. And I don't get this whole notion of punishing players when you're actually ruining confidence. And I think those are some of the decisions that Arteta is paying for. Yeah. Pepe, I think he's been grossly misused. People, if you watch Pepe at Lille, he played mostly off the right, but he was always supported by Chelik, and that was for those overlapping runs. And it's interesting because when he made the move, when everyone wanted to buy him, he had these demands for what he wanted the team to have. So it wasn't just financial demands, it was demands for the system the team plays so that he can come and I think players should do that more often when they actually know their strengths and how they want to play. So he did that. He said he wanted an overlapping fullback. Arsenal don't play that way, and we see Pepe struggling. Pepe has never been a touchline hogger, and Pepe, the defensive onus on him right now in the system that Arsenal are playing, I think is bringing out the worst in Pepe, making him have lots of volume, ineffective dribbles. And I think that Arteta is misusing him in that way. And then finally, my third one is on Mesut Ozil. I think one thing that Hansi Flick got right when he came and steadied the ship for Bayern was Müller had been frozen out. And that's a senior player, not just because he's a senior player, but that's a huge part. And he's also a quality player. You bring back Müller, the players respect Müller. If Müller likes you, all the players that respect Müller are going to take more to you. Mesut Ozil has acolytes in that team. People like Müller, people like Mustafi, people like probably even your captain Aubameyang. So when you freeze him out like that, you're basically saying it's me or him, and everyone who likes him is going to be against you. So I think Arteta lost a lot of the respect of the players from doing that, and now he's going to look spineless for bringing him back. So he probably won't, even though that's the right decision. And things like that are on the man management tilts that come from experience. And Flick probably has that experience from being at the World Cup with Lowe and working with these kind of big players with big personalities. I think Arteta missed a step there. And that's probably ultimately the reason why the team looks so flat and the players look like they're not giving that extra.
Or enjoying it.
And enjoying their football. So those are my 3 points. And I think those came to the fore against Everton again. Some of the things that Teta says in his press conferences about they dominated the ball, playing against a low block. I think that's you're just telling us what we know. Who doesn't play a low block in the Premier League? There are probably 3 or 4 teams that don't play that. So that cannot be a reason why you're losing every match. If you know that's what they're going to do, you should be prepared. Arsenal didn't create anything. The whole space in front of their 2 defensive midfielders completely absent. They keep trying to do the same thing, crossing balls in. You don't have Dominic Calvert-Lewin. You had Eddie Nketiah. And you keep crossing the balls in, and you think that that's going
against Keane and Yeremina, who's 6'6".
Exactly.
So I think you make a fantastic. I never thought of that, but you make a fantastic point in bringing up Muller, because not only does Muller come back into the team and now the respect is there. Muller actually is still putting up sick numbers. I think last season he had some unreal number of assists. I don't recall, but he had, I think, probably the most assists in Bayern. And why I say this is because Ozil still has the quality, at least from what we've seen last year. This year, actually, it's still in 2020. This year, actually. So Ozil's, the quality is still there. You've identified that this is an area which your team is lacking. You have a player sitting down making 300K for not playing or for playing. Why don't you throw him into the team regardless of politics? So I think that's a huge slant on Arteta, is that he cannot manage his team right now with teams. It's about man management, and sometimes that's where it looks like you're getting it wrong tactically, because you've messed up on the back room end, and then on the field is going to reflect. So I think going to that Everton game, it was, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it was a no-brainer. Everton was going to come out on top. The question was by how many goals. Of course, they considered a set piece, but if you heard the DCL talk on the post-match interview, he actually said, we knew that was their weakness and we targeted it. Easy.
Yeah.
And sometimes football is as easy as that. A team is weak in certain areas, you make that your strength and you capitalize on that. And I think they deserved it on the day. Arsenal will always have problems with chance creation until Ozil is in that team. Even when Ozil comes onto that team, it might take a few games, but their confidence will start to build. Aubameyang will start getting the chances again. They'll start scoring goals. It's
ultimately a man management thing, because Arsenal, as much as we want to joke, Arsenal are not the 15th best squad or XI in the Premier League. If they play all their best players, and even without Ozil, if they get Partey back, Aubameyang is playing, Gabriel is playing, they will be 15th. But
I was scared. I was very scared, and I'll be very honest, looking at their starting XI going into this season, because I thought they would be playing a 4-2-3 even before Partey came. I thought they'd be playing a 4-2-3-1 with Ozil, Pepe, Aubameyang, and Lacazette. And for me, that's scary enough. There's goals in that. And whoever you have behind them, whether that's Ceballos and Xhaka, or Ceballos, and in this case, El Neni is playing again, that's fine. But now you have Partey there. So if you play Ceballos, Partey, you'll find defensively, I think.
You want to play Xhaka, Partey.
I think there's definitely, like I said, overcoaching. I completely agree with you guys. Ferguson always used to say it's like the biggest job for any manager is man management. And the thing about this is when you do enter a rut like Arteta has, let's say a few games in, you enter that rut, but if there's that camaraderie and a manager that, like, is not castigating one player for getting a red card, then absorbing another of blame for getting a red card, like they did with Xhaka, and punishing Pepe. So like when you have players actually on side and really that have the support of the manager, you're more likely to kind of get out of this rut, because I've not seen a rut from a big team this bad, in such a short period of time, in a very, very long time. Even under Moyes, let's say like the worst big club manager in recent years, he never got this bad. Like this is like really, really, really bad. And I think is because of the man manager aspect, but it's also over coaching, because again, what we heard from my United fans or rivals, that United don't have coaching, there's no pattern of play. Fair enough. I disagree, but fair enough. But Arsenal have quality. There's no reason why you should be so turgid. You have so much speed. you have unpredictable players. Pepe is one of the most unpredictable players. He could go wrong, he could go right, but like he could go either way. But he could have a moment of brilliance at any time. But you're coaching him to be so rigid. Like that's why you like William, because William is a very rigid by the book kind of footballer. So you should not have a team of Pepe, Saka, Aubameyang, and be
We apologize for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, he should be back on in a second.
To our subscribers.
So turgid in attack and easy to defend. And Everton in the game, like, sorry about that. Yeah. So,
Omega, if you want to hop up and hop back on.
We'll just wait a second while Becca sorts out his issue.
Very, as anyone should against Arsenal. Don't give them space. Play. Okay.
Again, apologies for technical difficulties with our crew in the Nigerias.
Our production staff are working hard to get Emeka back on the show briefly. So we apologize for that.
We apologize. And I think it's important to know. I mean, while we're at home, these issues always happen. Working from home is, if not for COVID, we would have been in the studio and making things work from the studio.
So we can't wait to get back in the studio for you guys. So stay tuned, and that's coming soon for sure. Well, in Emeka's absence, we can also run through some of the other fixtures. So Newcastle 1-1 Fulham. Fulham showing some life. We wrote them off. We said they're going straight back down. Oh, I think we have Emeka back. Emeka, is it good for you now? Okay, he might still be sorting it out.
And this Nigeria, you got man.
Okay, you back?
As I left America, I see how Nigeria. As I've come back now, you can see what's going on. I'm tired of this place. I'm just tired.
Okay, it's back. Apologies. Yeah, no worries. You're finishing your last point on.
I'm just complaining about this Nigeria place first of all, but yeah. So I think Everton just played that perfectly. No need to talk too much. Anybody that's playing Arsenal, just do what they did. Sit back, let them do their tippy-tappy outside the box, passing aimlessly, then giving it to Tierney to cross in the box. It will come back out. Just let them do their thing and try then use your aerial dominance, because it's so easy to play Arsenal at the moment. So it's so easy.
Perfect. It's still cracking a little bit, so we'll see if your thing gets sorted out. We're telling them that we can't wait to get back in the studio, that if we're working from home, we'd all be in the studio providing this amazing content. So Newcastle, Fulham, Callum Wilson doing the business, but Fulham showing some life. We wrote them off. And what do we think about Fulham going down to 10 men and still holding on for a very valuable point at the end of the day, especially seeing as no one wants to pull away? Like kind of the bottom, honestly, 6, if you draw Arsenal into that, don't really want to pull away and get 3 points. I feel like the next 3 points for anyone in that bottom 6 will be super valuable. But since no one wants to, I feel like everyone just moving with these 1 pointers is still staying in the fight. So what did you think about that Newcastle Fulham game, Chinedu?
Yeah, I want to first of all, highlight Fulham and Sheffield as well for the way both clubs are being managed in terms of backing their managers in times when backing managers is very hard. So Fulham, when they were down in the mud and they were going through it, they backed Scott Parker to still be their man. And same for Sheffield now, in that they backed their manager and said, even if we stay with the same number of points we have now, he's going to be our manager next season. So I think that's key. And now you can see how that's paying off for Fulham, in that they're fighting in every game. I mean, all the time people back them to lose every game 4-0, because you remember how they were at the beginning of the season. But now they're finding their own and finding their feet and they look like maybe not a Premier League team, but they look like they could be a Premier League team in a few weeks. And I like the fight. I like the spirit, even getting a red card and still holding on to the points and getting a very valuable, like you said, 1 point.
I'll go to Emeka for Brighton Sheffield United.
Yeah, so I watched the game earlier today. It was a very kind of boring game. Brighton, as you'd expect, playing a lot of the football, especially in the second half. Sheffield solid as ever. So they got the red card and they still held on quite well. And I was sad for them that they conceded the goal at the end of the game. But I mean, it was a good point with 10 men. I think hopefully it can be a starting point for them. And just a quick one on Fulham before we move on. They changed their whole back four. So from the start of the season to now, they have a completely different
back five.
Back five or what? The whole defense. And credit to Scott Parker. That's a big call. And we said it a few weeks ago. Everyone was tipping them every time they're playing someone in FPL. We always captain the opposition striker. But like of late, like they
can't do that anymore.
Yeah, like they showed the resilience that generally. And Fulham, when I schooled in the UK, like that was like I live close to Fulham, so that was the club I used to go to the most. And they're generally a soft club and very, very easy to play against. I used to love watching United there because we always used to just destroy them at Craven Cottage. But yeah, I'm seeing it's sort of resilience that actually embodies their manager, because Scott Parker was very gritty kind of player, West Ham guy, West Ham Tottenham guy. So it's nice to see, and I hope they can stay up.
And Robinson is a player.
Yeah,
he's a serious player.
He's going to get signed up if they go down.
He almost went to Milan, is the story that the commentators always say whenever
he got like a heart issue or something.
Yeah, right? it was wrongly diagnosed with a heart issue, but everything's fine. It was like too much caffeine or something. But he is a player, and yeah, if they go down, I don't see him staying with that side. Quickly on there's so many haram ball classicals, but Tottenham Leicester today. My take on that was, I think this was a confidence issue. Spurs should have never lost that midweek game. The minimum should have been a draw, but they should have won the game. So maybe there might be say that again.
I said that
Liverpool broke them.
Yeah, I think that Spurs have just been like this all season, regardless of whether it's draw, win. Mourinho has just said the right things, getting the players on board, and I'm sure he got them on board for that Liverpool game to play this way. This is what we're going to do. This works. Like, trust me. He got them doing it, and they were so close to getting the minimum because they should have won that game, but they would have been disappointed with a draw on the balance of play. But losing the way they did in the minute they did, probably a heartbreaking result.
It sets in doubt,
Yeah.
Doubt comes into the squad as to, are we doing the right thing? Are we still going to be proper title contenders? Because that's what everybody has backed them to be.
Yeah.
And so now they start to doubt themselves, and hopefully, they can pick themselves back up in the next game, because
this is very important
like this is just going to start hugely important mentality-wise.
I think they always make top four, like regardless of how they come out of this period. Yeah. But for that title challenge, they need
that's huge.
This Christmas period is huge.
The interesting thing about Jose Ball, like more than any other, I think, is that buy-in is so important, and because you're using top players, like the way he played against Liverpool, Kane and Son getting so few touches, like you need to buy in, because if you're that quality of player and you're not really involved in the game, if you don't have that buy-in and you know that this is the right way to go, then there's going to be a drop-off, and which is the issue he had with United, because there was not that buy-in, right? So that result, I just hope he hasn't set in doubt where, like this Leicester game, for instance, again, you would expect Tottenham to, actually control the game or have chances, maybe not dominate the ball, but have chances.
Yeah.
So I feel that confidence, there's a bit of that confidence drop, but they should be fine. Just that 3 games without a win.
Yeah.
They're now
that's going to be the headline.
But
honestly, I don't think they're in big trouble.
From title challengers to be below United with the game in hand.
Talking about that buy-in, specifically that buy-in for Mourinho's play, I think compared to other people's play, his buy-in requires that he gets results as well, and that's where it's different. Because you look at people like Bielsa and buying into his system and lead players XYZ. They don't get as, like, for the amount of attention you give them, they don't get as many results when they're away as they should. But he doesn't get as much stake. Like Mourinho, his buy-in requires results. When they get the results, it's easier to buy in, and it's easier for the media to say, oh yeah, he's doing XYZ. When they don't get the results, he's going to get stick because it looks like this was horrible. But it's one of those things that Spurs have to, in the next game, pick themselves up. And if they don't, it only gets worse because you're not getting the results and you're also playing ball that, quote unquote, you don't, quote unquote, enjoy. Which I'm sure Harry Kane enjoys his football right now. So, I mean, but to everybody, you're not enjoying the football. And so if they don't get those results, if they don't get the next result, I think that's a huge dent on their title challenge.
I don't think it'll be as bad because the next is Wolves away, and that's a tough fixture just for anybody. So whatever happens, but after that they have Fulham at home and Leeds at home. So regardless, I think those will
Games
be
they should be winning.
2 games that they'll win.
I think they'll be fine.
So I think that this is just back to what I said about the Christmas period. People drop points, and it just so happened that they faced 2 very difficult teams. They probably need a win since it's been a little bit. Since the last win. But I think that's all the results that mattered this weekend. No, now that's not routine. That's what I'm saying.
Can we just say shout out to Everton though, because they beat Chelsea, Arsenal, and Leicester in a week. Talking about tough fixtures in the Christmas period. Like that is extremely impressive.
Ancho.
Who's that?
Ancelotti, bro. Sorry.
Oh, Ancho. Oh.
No, yeah. but really quick on Leicester as well. You want to talk about Everton, Leicester? I think they found their system under Brendan Rodgers and it's working. It's working. You want to talk about Harambo? They are the kings of it right now, but they do it well. They do it and they still score goals. And it's something that suits Jamie Vardy. It's something that suits Jamie Vardy so well, and I think they will continue picking up their points.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. They're getting some of the attackers back, Barnes and Maddison, and some of the people who give them attacking threat. So I think that is going to be very important for the top 4 challenge. People think they're in the title race, but I think ultimately they don't have enough quality. And that's I think all the results that mattered. We had hoped to get into the Bundesliga, but the show would be too long this week, so we'll get into that next week. But it's been a while, so super excited to talk about ball again. So very happy we got to do this today. Let's go quickly into our last segment for the day. Some FPL, what went right, what went wrong for you? What went wrong for me, easy. I did not have Mo Salah, and I saw it was 5-0, and Salah hadn't scored, so I thought I didn't even know it was benched, so I thought I somehow survived, only for me to check later, and it was 7-0, and Salah had scored twice. So I was like, yeah, that was very unfortunate. But otherwise, Martinez has his clean sheet intact right now. Cancelo clean sheet. Fernandes captain. Even though I'm not his biggest fan, I know the right time to captain him in a very open game, which is why I told you it was going to be a very routine win. And some blanks in there: Son, KDB, Grealish, Bamford. I mean, 5 points is not why I'm spending £12 million on you. But I'm glad I left Ailing on my bench because I actually almost thought about having Ailing in my team just to see if they might for the goals that they'll score. So the Ailing Dallas decision has over the past few weeks proven to be very clearly in Dallas's favor. But at the start of the season, you were kind of guessing. But now that Dallas is playing literally everywhere and Ailing is more or less their set right back, it's clear that Dallas has more of a goal threat, and he scored twice in the last 2 games, and Ailing actually got -1. So that is something that went well that I didn't try to be too clever. How about you, Chinedu?
Well, the last time we talked about FPL, I was hanging up my FPL boots, but I've been reeled back in, and that's because of weeks like this. I'm currently sitting on 70-something odd points, with about 2-3 players left to go. I thought I had messed up because so last week I took out, just for the week, I took out Salah for KDB because I was backing KDB to do something good. I think it was against Fulham, and he obviously blanked. Salah went on to score a goal. So this week I tried to bring Salah back in. His price had gone up, and so I didn't get the chance to bring Salah in. So when I was actually sleeping during that Liverpool game, and I woke up and I saw he had gotten someone I'm playing against like 32 points. I was absolutely livid, and I thought I had made a mistake. But obviously, Bruno, as my cap, comes in, gives me the goods as well. It's been a good week, man. What can I say? Vardy gets goals, Wilson gets goals, DCL didn't blank as well. You guys changed my name to FPL King at this point, man.
Someone that was hanging up his boots last week.
That's going to be the title of this episode. Change my name to FPL King. Emeka, how things for you?
Yeah, so I think Bruno Cap was like anybody that knows, I feel understands football. I think it was a good pick this week because the game was going to be super open. That's the through ball king, especially against that extremely high pressing team. So that was my best. I mean, I have Salah as well, so that was good. I had John Stones, which was a good clean sheet and 2 bonus points. But for my mistake was I put Greenwood in. So again, for the same reason of Leeds being so open, I thought Greenwood would be able to capitalize at that price. I thought it would be good. I thought it would be a good pick, but he didn't come on at all. So he would have played Dan James's role, who scored a goal today. So who knows what Greenwood would have done if he played. So Greenwood didn't have any minutes at all. So that was like my mistake. But overall, I'm a good week, 73 points so far, and 2 players to go.
Everybody's eating good, it seems.
I have Prudence to go, hopefully against Burnley. I mean, it's a tough one to go, but I feel like he's going to have the quality to come up with a cheeky goal here or there.
Daniel James and FPL assets?
No, I said Prudence. I have Prudence.
That's my question. That's my question.
Oh, you're asking. maybe pose that question out to our audience.
Yeah.
No chance.
As one of your budget midfielders.
Except you're playing Leeds every week.
He's not going to,
when you face low blocks, he's not playing anything.
I think that's a fantastic way to end it, unless you're playing Leeds every week.
More than Leeds, people want to play Arsenal every week. So
not United clearly, but
yeah.
If I think back to like I said it then, Arsenal did not create a single chance. So back when everyone was saying, "Oh, blah 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 blah," Arsenal this, Arteta this, I was like, bro.
No, I mean
they watched that game.
They dominated the ball, but I mean they didn't create many.
Yeah, I was saying that game was a 0-0, and both teams were just very very poor. Like Arsenal were also poor, United were very very poor. I'm sure United fans looking back on that will be so livid that they lost to.
I think it catapulted us really because we won 6 and 7 since then, and they haven't won since then.
And they have not won since then.
I think that was what really like kind of got our minds.
Arsenal would probably trade that one win in 14 years for 2 or 3 wins since then. So once again, whenever you're analyzing the game, doing a deep dive, sharing your opinion on social media, ask yourself, do I really know ball? Thank you very much.